what we've learned is a continuation of the trends that we've seen over the past couple of years, and that is that AI is able to faster and faster not only identify vulnerabilities that were previously unidentified by humans, but also to write exploits faster. And so the window between identifying vulnerabilities and writing exploits has also then decreased tremendously. It used to be it could take months, and now it could take days or hours or minutes. And so that window between identifying a vulnerability and it being potentially exploitable has dramatically decreased. And so what that means is organizations and product security teams and product owners need to think really hard about what their response is. And what I've heard from people across, I would say, the embedded software ecosystem, and I'm thinking organizations inside aerospace and defense, or energy and industrial automation, or even medical devices, and even transportation systems, their fear is that there will be a dramatic increase in the number of vulnerabilities that are disclosed or found or reported. Meanwhile, they have to maintain compliance, whether that's with their EU cyber resilience compliance efforts or FDA compliance efforts. So with a surge in vulnerabilities, there's also a commensurate response in mitigation, triage, and finding ways to get ahead of the problem. And again, organizations fear an exponential increase in vulnerabilities, which increases their effort to stay in compliance. In addition to that, they are concerned about the risk it puts software, since some of the vulnerabilities that are found are highly severe and critical and also exploitable. With that said, organizations can do a number of things. One of the most important things I think every organization needs to adopt, though, is to boost their ability to scan and identify vulnerabilities themselves. They don't need to wait until they get a copy of Mythos. There are tremendous opportunities to start doing that today. We at RunSafe would love to work with organizations who want to find these vulnerabilities and start taking action immediately rather than waiting for Mythos. With that said, also, organizations, in addition to scanning, really need to be prepared to also assess reachability and exploitability of vulnerabilities. And that specific set of criteria will be very helpful for organizations to prioritize not only how they prioritize and triage which vulnerabilities they need to address immediately, but also how they can report in compliance regimes that they're staying in compliance with standards of compliance that are required by each vertical. And then lastly, of course, organizations should take preemptive measures to mitigate against vulnerabilities, against entire classes of vulnerabilities, and shift away from the exhaustive cycle of patching vulnerabilities and trying to keep pace with runaway AI that's identifying vulnerabilities at machine speed. And so it does not make sense for an organization to chase every vulnerability that AI adopts and try to keep pace. They will consistently fail and fall behind, not only putting their systems at risk, but also falling out of compliance. And so a better approach for every organization then is to add security into their software that eliminates classes of vulnerabilities so that they're staying ahead of any potential risk that Mythos or other AI systems find. So in conclusion, or in summary, what every organization ought to do is proactively start scanning their software using tools that are more advanced than static analysis. They should also look for exploitability and reachability indicators around vulnerabilities identified and use that to prioritize triage efforts and patching efforts. And then also they should proactively add in security into their software that eliminates entire classes, in particular memory safety vulnerabilities, which happen to be the lion's share of these kinds of vulnerabilities that are getting disclosed. So with that said, there's multiple reasons for organizations to act now and get ahead of the problem rather than falling behind and not being prepared for a surge in vulnerabilities and putting your compliance programs at risk, let alone your customers' systems at risk.